and also in Best Bet Jacksonville.
Thank you, Ben. All right, when we finished yesterday, we were at level 22 with 18 minutes and 30 seconds left. We started with 250 entries and we're down to the final 6. In seat number 1 from London, England, starting with 2,120,000. Give a round of applause to Robert Hydorn. In seat number 2 from Chicago, Illinois, 2,860,000 in chips. He is our chip leader, Kevin Rauschau. In seat number 3, looking for his first WPT title after many final tables. He starts with 1,075,000 in chips. From New York, New York, Jake Schwartz. In seat number 4, looking for his second WPT title from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 875,000 in chips, Tony Tran. In seat number 5, he's our defending champion here, looking to become the first player in history of the World Poker Tour to win the same event back-to-back years from Sacramento. Let's hear it for Erkut Yilmaz. And in seat number 6 from East Brunswick, New Jersey, 885,000 chips, Shankar Pillai, seat number 6. All right, now one more round of applause for these 6 players looking for their WPT title and a seat to the Tournament of Champions. All right, 18 minutes, 30 seconds left in this level, 10 and 20,000. The button starting in seat number 3.
The couple waits. Welcome to Season 18's WPT Rolling Thunder Final Table in beautiful Sacramento, California. 250 players entered. We are down to our final 6 as they battle out for the top prize, $279,000 up top. Each player guaranteed a minimum of $45,000 with the top 3 all earning a 6-figure payday. Thanks so much for being with us. My name is Dave Farrow, alongside Poker Pro and Thunder Valley Ambassador Tyler Patterson. Hey, Tyler, how you doing, man?
Hey, Dave. Thanks for welcoming me in. I'm pretty excited. This is a fun final table.
And they just got you before the final table. You played in this tournament, and you ended up in 10th, which is a nice run. Unfortunately, you're on this side of the broadcast booth. I saw you tweeting about that as the week was going on.
Yeah, it was close. We had a good run. We were only in for 1 bullet, and we cashed for 26,000. So it's nothing. It's not terrible.
So run us through it. I mean, you obviously know a handful of these guys. People that follow poker closely probably recognize some of these faces. What's your just general assessment of this final table as we get into it here?
What's really interesting, we have the reigning player of the year from last year in Erkut. We're going to call him Eric. He goes by Eric Yilmaz. He won this event last year and is the reigning player of the year. And second place, I believe, he was the least very close, was Jake Schwartz in the player of the year. So we have 2 of the World Poker Tour's best right there at the final table.
And it's some potential history here. If Eric does win this, it would be the first time ever that a player in WPT history has won the same event back-to-back.
Right, and yeah, that would be really interesting. It's a cool storyline to talk about. There's been a couple of close ones. I had a close one in that. I had a first and then a fourth in Best Bet, and also in Best Bet Jacksonville. What's his name? Sam Panzica also had a first and then a second or third, I think, the next year. So there's been some close runs, but no one's done it back-to-back.
So here we go to our first flop of this final table. It's a jack, a 7, and a deuce. Right now, Kevin's pocket 9's looking pretty good.
Yeah, Kevin's the chip leader, Kevin Rauschau. I don't know a ton about him personally. I haven't seen him a lot. He looks like he's a pretty young guy, and he comes out from Chicago. I think he's coming out here. But it does seem like a lot of the poker guys know him pretty well, so I think he's an accomplished player also.
Check from Tony. Eric's going to go 75, and Kevin now with the decision. He was the one that raised it up. Total pot size at 230,000 right now.
Interesting play from Eric to lead into the razor here with really not much equity.
Just a call there.
20 folds. Heads up to turn.
So here comes the turn. Eric looking for something. And a 4 rolls off, so he's got a gut shot now.
Oh, this makes more sense. I got it wrong in the pre-flop action. Eric is under the gun. He was actually the opener, and Kevin had just called with the pocket 9. So that fits the play a little bit more. It's more of a normal line. Now with the 4, Eric's turning some equity here. He has the straight draw.
And Eric gonna fire another bullet.
He does likely have the aces and overcard, and almost definitely the 3 5s, 4 5s.
265,000. So some early action here. Pretty big pot brewing for our first one of this final table. Over a 500,000 chips already in the center. Kevin with a decision here.
And this is definitely a tough decision from Kevin. You got to give some credit to Eric for raising under the gun. So he's going to start with the stronger hand. It is the first hand of the day. Kevin made a pretty sick hero call at the end of day 2.
Oh,
got a lot of
push him off the better hand. Nice play by Eric.
Yeah, it's a good card for Eric to keep firing on the turn because he picks up a little extra equity and recognizes that, keeps firing, and gets the better hand to fold.
So the 2 biggest stacks of the day starting out there with a little bit of back and forth. Eric started with 109 big blinds and Kevin with 143. Nice scoop there of almost 200,000 chips. So 119 big blinds for Eric now, over 2.3 million.
Everybody here at this final table is very accomplished. Shankar has 3 WPT final tables, a sixth and a second so far, so he doesn't have a win. This is Jake's 7th WPT final table. Still doesn't have a win. He's
Lots
kind
of close calls, right?
Yeah.
He's entering this one just over $1 million in chips, so 54 big blinds is what he sat with. So has some work to do if he wants to climb this mountain with, Kevin knocking on the door of almost $3 million when he sat down. So definitely some work to do. But as we were talking about before we jumped on the air, these guys are all very deep and plenty of time to play here.
Yeah, absolutely. They the top 3 guys all have over 100 big blinds, and the shortest stack I think was Tony Tran, who is also a WPT champion. He has 44 big blinds to start the day, so nobody is short, and we could be in for a long one.
Shank under the gun, going to pass with his 10-3 off. Robert looking at Jack 9, also going to say no go. Kevin in the cutoff, no. Jake on the button. Over to Tony, King 3 in the small blind.
29 small blind.
Going up to 60,000. Tony, a Philadelphia guy. You might have picked that up by his 76ers hat there. And Eric looking down at a pretty good pre-flop hand here. King Jack gonna make the call, and a pot of 140 with the small and the big blinds squaring off.
I like to just call from Eric. You can 3-bet that hand. It has enough value, but keep some bad hands in just like this.
And this is about as good of a scenario for Eric. So both spike their king on that flop, and Tony is the one playing coy right now. But he's going to be in trouble if this continues.
Yeah, the King Jack plays really well in these blind versus blind situations. Both of them trapping here.
Interesting. The turn is a 4. No help to Tony's hand. Now he's going to just a bet of 45,000 into a pot of 140.
It's just so dry. It just seems like it's almost impossible for this not to go 2 streets of value towards Eric. Unless Eric tries to get real greedy with a raise, but I kind of doubt that's going to happen. I think it's probably just going to be 2 calls.
Makes the call. 30,000.
DY calls.
Here comes the river. It's a queen of hearts. Eric's hand is going to hold up.
That card's got to look great to both of them. You can get more value. There's more things that Tony can actually get value out of now with the queen. It's less likely that Eric's beat since the queen comes. It's less likely his opponent has king-queen. I think Eric also lives in Philadelphia these days, but he has Sacramento ties. He used to be here by way of Turkey.
Check from Tony. Let's see if Eric can extract some value or if he's going to be happy where it sits.
He's definitely going to go for some value here. It's the question is if it's between 75 or all the way up to 250,000.
Man, he's reaching. 180,000.
Right in the middle of
Right
that.
in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, right in the middle of that range.
410,000 in the center now.
It really doesn't feel like a bluff to Tony. That's why Tony's struggling here, but I don't see a way he gets away from it. I think most of the players at the table see Eric as one of the more solid players. Wow, that was a great laydown by Tony.
Yeah. Shortest stack sitting down at this final table, or at least close to it. Yeah, 875,000, just 10,000 shy of Shankar. And, yeah, he got away from it pretty unbelievably. Nice laydown. And Eric, 2 pots back-to-back. So maybe he's going to come in and, you know, use his chips to his advantage as he tries to make history, be the first WPT player to win 2 back-to-back at the same event.
We got 280,000 up top, or 279,000. That includes a 15K WPT Tournament of Champions seat.
That's always nice, right? Getting the 15,000 out of the free roll.
Yeah, absolutely. Tony, being a champion, can already play this event or that event, but he has to put up the 15K. Same with Eric if he doesn't win this tournament. He would have to put up the 15K. Jake Schwartz, we've talked about his super accomplished WPT record, but he doesn't get to play that tournament yet, so he really wants to win this tournament. Same with Shankar having a 6th and a 2nd. He really wants to get into that field also.
Tony on the button here. Ace-8 clubs. Going to raise it up to 45,000. Eric, small blind. Queen-3. And you heard Tony talking it through there after that last hand happened. He said, I'm pretty sure that you had me. So confident in his laydown, too. Good read.
That was a really strong read. It's really nice. It helps your psyche a little bit knowing in 30 minutes you can, well, not necessarily in 30 minutes because you have to wait till a break to check your phones, but you can go talk to a friend or go find out what happened in the last level from the live stream. So that does help a little bit.
Standard format for this WPT final table. You see the action clock by Protection Poker. It's 30 seconds for each player with the option for up to 8 30-second time extensions. Those are the oval-looking chips there that are blue and yellow on the table. And again, the action clock by Protection Poker is 30 seconds for each player to act, but they can extend that time by using those extension chips.
That's an interesting dynamic to add to poker. It was much needed to stop people from stalling their way into just later finishes or into the money, and it's worked its way into a big part of the strategy now.
Kevin under the gun here. Queen Jack of diamonds raising up to 40,000 now. Tony with pocket 7s in the cutoff. The decision to make. It's going to go up. 185,000 3-bet from Tony.
He does go with a 3-bet.
185,000. DY and Shankar both fold. Robert's going to fold. Back over to Kevin.
It's an awkward stack size for Kevin to continue. Most of the time I think you're going to continue to a 3-bet with Queen Jack suited even out of position, but when your opponent only has one pot size bet,
it's all going to find its way in there. So he decides not to die on that hill and lets it go. And Tony going to scoop another pot. A couple back-to-back there.
Strong play from Tony. We haven't talked much about Robert Heidorn yet. He also has, he doesn't have a lot of WPT experience, but he just came off of, I think, a fourth in EPT Prague, and he was the World Series of Poker main event final table bubbleist this year. He got 10th place in the main event for 800,000.
Is that the official title, the bubbleist?
I might have made that up. So he's on the final table, sort of, but it's the unofficial final table.
Right, yeah. It's not the 9-person televised final table. He is a WSOP bubbleist. Got it.
Right.
But still a nice accomplishment. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah. He
No
beat
question.
thousands of players and ended up getting $800,000 out of it. So he's an accomplished player, too.
So Eric going up to 45,000 with his Jack-8 of spades, and Shankar, Ace-4, going to let that go. Robert, not a lot cooking with his hole cards just yet, also out of the way. Ace-6 for Kevin in the big blind. He'll hang around. So heads up to the flop we go, 120K in the center. Flop comes, couple of deuces and a 4. Quick check from Kevin.
Quick, almost automatic check from Kevin.
Eric with an air ball on this flop as well. Let's see if he's going to remain aggressive. And yeah, he's reaching for chips. Just a small bet of 25,000.
Even a big bet wouldn't get Kevin to fold an ace on this flop. Ace is just going to be ahead so much of the time. So he might earn himself a cheap couple of cards by making that tiny bet.
9 rolls off.
And he does.
Another check from Kevin.
Now Eric does earn that cheap river card. If he wants to, he can check it back and try to make a pair, or he can continue the charade.
Check, check. Here comes the river. A 6 of clubs. So Kevin pairs his 6s on the river, but it doesn't matter. You did the best of it with that ace. Let's see what Kevin does here.
He could go for value with his 6 from a hand like ace high or a smaller pair, but because he has an ace, it's unlikely Eric has ace high anyway, so he's going to try to catch Eric bluffing instead.
And if that was the plan, it's working. 145,000 goes into the center.
Really, Kevin's only decision here is deciding whether to turn his ace of clubs into a bluff and make a big play to try to get a hand that is like a 9 or a bigger pair to fold, or to just call with his pair of 6s, which is what he decides to do.
He'll just call, and Eric just mucks the cards. Nice read. And nice scoop for Kevin, 460,000.
Yeah, I think that's just the call on the end is probably the better play, because there's not that many hands between what you lose to, what you can get to fold.
Just tuning in, thanks for being with us. My name's Dave Farrell alongside Tyler Patterson. And Tyler, I know that this casino is near and dear to your heart. You've been an ambassador for Thunder Valley for quite some time. My first time actually on the property here, and I'm going to say very impressive poker room as well as the casino as a whole. Much bigger than I expected.
It's a big
casino.
Very popular casino. The slot machines are humming over the weekend.
And I got in last night and I was like, yeah, that was a Monday night. Like, what's going on here, man? This place is jumping.
It really is. Yeah, we were only about 30 minutes away from Sacramento, so and there's a bunch of suburbs all around. So there's plenty of population, and it's just really nice. A nice hotel, nice. This new poker room, it's been around for a little over a year. All walled off, so it's smoke-free poker room, and all the the chargers, all the TVs. It's a top-notch place.
Robert going up to 45,000 with his 5-4 of clubs, and Kevin waking up with another nice hand here, Jack-9 of hearts, and Jake going to follow suit, quite literally, ace-deuce, spades.
No one could really consider folding this pre-flop.
Flop is
And this could get interesting. So an ace spikes for Jake. 2 hearts roll off. A straight flush potential here for Kevin.
Really, Robert's the only one without anything. It's a little too connected. I don't think he's going to c-bet, but he might get involved too, just since he was the original raiser.
So check, check, check all the way around on a board like this. Here we go to the turn. And a 9 rolls off, so Kevin hits his 9.
That might slow the action a little bit because Kevin doesn't really have to bluff to win the pot now that he has a pair of 9s. May just bet it for value anyway.
125,000.
It's not very often you check an ace on that flop and then end up folding to 1 bet on the turn, but that board could be scary enough for Jake to just let this one go. I think the more routine play would definitely be to call, at least see 1 more card.
And that's what he'll do. Robert will hop out of the way. Here comes the river. It is a 7 of hearts. He hits it.
I don't know if we've ever had a straight flush on a World Poker Tour final table before.
Let's see what Kevin does with it. What a hand. Unfortunately for him, Jake just doesn't have that strong of a hand, right? I mean, that's a pretty ugly board for a straight flush when your opponent's holding on to ace rag. And now Kevin's going to, of course, try to extract some value here. But
there's so many different options for Kevin, though, because he can go for a small bet hoping to get raised. He can go for a huge bet hoping that Jake has something that he just can't fold. It's probably just going to go bet fold or check check, but when you're in Jake's shoes, when this board is just so coordinated, it's just begging for a bluff. So sometimes it just looks so bad for you that you decide to call anyway because it's so obvious that your opponent should be bluffing.
So our first time extension chip was used there by Kevin. 185 is the bet that he announces. So pot goes up to 590,000, and now Jake here.
Kevin bets 185,000.
Lets it go, and Kevin doesn't even show.
That's a sign of a true professional, right there.
Man.
Just
I
doesn't
can't even do that on a video poker machine, much less on a final table. So,
yeah, most people are going to turn that up for the laugh and talk about it and talk about their hand there.
Nope, not when there's $279,000 up top.
Right.
Not today. So average stack size, you're seeing 67 big blinds, a little north of 1.6 million. And as you see, Kevin, 3.1 now, 31% of the chips in play. Eric with 2.2, followed by Robert over 2 million. Now you have 3 players that are south of $1 million in chips, all hanging around in the 800,000 range. So still very much anyone's game. Under the gun here, Eric looking at a couple of threes.
I'm gonna make you guys think about it.
Eric is going to open 3s.
Raise to 55.
55,000. Shankar folds a 10-7 suited. And the under the gun open just scoops the pot. If you guys want to interact with us, you can send us messages on Twitter. I think that's probably the easiest way. I'm Tyler Patterson is at Tyler Poker. And Dave Fair has just had Dave Fair, yeah?
That's right, yeah,
They are
keeping it
right.
simple.
Jake Colts.
Fam on the Facebook stream said straight flush. Wow. It's a thing of beauty for sure.
Tony Folds. And Eli.
Justin with an interesting comment here. Does Thunder Valley hire supermodels to do the final table announcing, or is that the WPT? I assume they're not talking about us, right? They're just talking about the people that brought in the players. But if you're asking who it is on our side, it's the World Poker Tour in conjunction with Thunder Valley. How's your supermodel career going?
It's going okay, yeah.
Mine's at a bit of a standstill. Kind of put on some winter weight. It happens.
Guess I'm guilty of that too.
6 players on this final table, 279,000 up top, as we mentioned. All these players guaranteed 45,000, but if you get up to third, you're going to crack that 6-figure mark. 122, 105 going to third, 177,000 going to second, and then more than 100,000 or more to first. Jake in the cutoff here with his King Jack of Hearts. Looks like he is going to bump it up. 60,000 from cutoff position. Tony out of the way on the button. Over to Eric. He's got Queen 9 off, and he's also going to pass. Over to Shankar. He's got a 4 and a 3 of hearts. It's been raised, and he's going to make the call. And little does he know it, but he probably doesn't want to see a bunch of hearts roll off.
Heads up to the flop. Flop. And a spades, jack of
Well, that should
spades.
cool things off. There's a couple of jacks and a 9.
Shankar and Jake are close friends. Probably know each other's games more intimately than anybody else on the table.
That's 50,000.
50,000 from Jake. Shankar is out and will live to fight another day. 210,000 pushing the way of Jake.
Robert came over here all the way from Berlin. I think there's kind of a crew of the German poker players that decided to come out for the WPT California Swing, little LAPC plus Rolling Thunder. And then they can hop over to, I guess it's the West Coast Swing now. They can hop over to Venetian in a week or so. There's another 5K buy-in here at the Venetian.
Tony in the cutoff with ace-3, couple of spades.
Tony raises to
Eric on the
60,000.
button's going to pass to this 8-7. Shankar also out of there. Robert with his King-8 in the big blind. You making that pilgrimage to any of those events?
I will definitely, so now that I live in Vegas, I'll definitely be playing the one at the Venetian in Vegas, yeah.
Nice.
And I did play the LAPC.
Robert calls.
It's a great event. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I've never cashed it, but
But you keep coming back for
but I
more.
keep coming back for more.
Robert, top pair, couple of kings.
Robert checks.
Just going to check it. There's one spade out there, so
Tony bets
Tony is
70,000.
going to bet 70,000. Not, of course, because of the spade, but with that ace in his hand, and let's see how Robert reacts.
The spade actually does play a little bit of a role here because having some backdoor draws, like the backdoor straight draws and flush draws, it gives you more cards that you can bluff again on the turn. If it's a complete airball, he'll probably shut down.
Turn, 5 of clubs.
There's a 5, so you got a gut shot now.
He did pull up a straight draw. That might be enough for him to bet again.
Robert checks.
A spade almost certainly would have been. We saw Eric pick up that first pot in that same manner with the turn to straight draw.
125 is the bet from Tony.
125,000.
Robert with top pair and the open ender. I don't think he's going anywhere.
So there's 425 in the center right now. Tony only has 525 back after that bet. Robert with considerably more chips. Just asked for a count, it looked like, or at least an estimate of what he had. And so he's going to make this call here of 125. Now we get to see what Tony does with this final card, and it's a Queen of Hearts, so Robert's hand holds. Tony doesn't get there. He's just got ace high.
So Robert had a big decision there on the turn to just just stick it in against Tony there, or just keep trapping with the one pair and open ender, and he decided to just call.
Check, check, and yep, Tony's gonna take one final look. The pair of kings, good for Robert, and he'll add to his stack 270,000 new chips. Total pot size of 550.
There was one magic card there. If a 4 rolled off, I think Tony might have hit the exit. It's a nice pot for Robert. Chipping up to 92 big blinds now. Second in chips.
Of course, at this WPT final table, all of the players are using Faded Spade cards, the preferred playing cards of the WPT.
Yeah, the card's got a little more stylish now when we got the Faded Spade guys involved.
You know, I like that they didn't overdo it, right? Like it wasn't try hard, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just kind of a nice little upgrade. Yeah, it's
they look
solid
nice.
stuff. And they play well too. They're sturdy. Nice enough to give me a couple of packs of those when I saw them in Vegas at the HyperX Esports Arena, where there's been a number of WPT final tables, and they've become the preferred playing cards in my home game as well.
Nice. Yeah, the LAPC final table coming up is going to be there at that HyperX Arena.
Have you made your way over there yet?
I have, yeah. I've played. I went there for I think it was the Tournament of Champions, the first one. Got to watch the end of that.
It's a cool environment, man. I mean, it's just pretty conducive to having a nice little studio audience. So if there's people that want to come out and sweat one of these big events, and the people that are playing on the table, and also just as far as production facility goes, really remarkable stuff. Eric, we getting the best of this one, so he hits his queen on that flop. Kevin quickly checks with his 10-5 of hearts. Eric in the cutoff.
You see a pretty good mix of checking back with this queen and continuing with a c-bet for value, and it's just going to end the pot there.
45 is the bet, 195 is the pot size, and let's go in the direction of Eric.
I've actually been in that esports arena with Matt Savage's son and 3 other adults, and we all played Mario Kart on a stage in front of probably 500 people.
Awesome. wait,
Yeah.
how did you do, though? Because it's not awesome, because everyone talks trash about how great they are at Mario Kart, and so if you're not and there's a live studio audience, I imagine the sweat's probably pretty real.
So there's a whole stage of maybe 12 people, or maybe it's 16, I don't remember. They fill the whole race, and I lost to all of the 12-year-olds who came to. I mean, there's adults who do it weekly too. It's not really just for kids, but I lost to all of them.
Yeah.
I beat my friends.
Good.
But I did lose to Marco Savage. He beat me by 1 point, and I was very.
But at least the bragging rights over the friends. If you don't have to be the best in the world, you just have to be better than your friends.
That's true. But Marco's kind of my friend. He likes to hold this over me.
Yeah, as would I. Who do you play with in Mario Kart?
I don't have a.
You don't have a guy?
No,
Really?
My Mario Kart days are way in the past. So.
I mean, as are mine, but the affinity that I have for Yoshi is just, I'll go to the grave with it. Robert could raise it up here, 55,000, Jack 10. And Kevin here with ace deuce, a couple of diamonds. A couple of the bigger stacks. Ooh, now Jake in the big blind here with ace queen. Suited at that. Got 920,000 behind.
I think we're probably going to see a shove here. It's a little big, but the stack size just kind of warrants it.
All in.
He knows that his stack size is so big, he's not going to get action from the worst hand very often, but just picking up the pot is just fine. And you might get a few pairs to fold, which is really, really fine. So even though we don't go to a flop, he picks up a few chips, much needed.
Now in fourth, just north of $1 million, 43 big blinds. So again, Jake, that one who the WPT title has always been very elusive to him. Has been trying hard. He's at what, 7 final tables, right?
Yeah, he's kind of like a Matt Kuchar seeking his first major, or Susan Lucci, maybe?
The Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills, yeah.
You know what? I take that back. That's mean to say about somebody. I'm sorry, Jake. I didn't mean that.
I mean, I called him Susan Lucci. Do you
Well,
think he
yeah.
liked that? There's no way he knows what that reference even is.
It works then. It works. Under the gun here, Eric. A jack and a 3. Going to push that out of there. Shankar has been relatively quiet to start this final table, also out of the way. Over to Kevin here with his queen 5. On the button, pushes that out of there. Jake in the small blind. We'll make the call. Tony looks down, finds himself a 6 and a 3 from the big blind, and he's reaching for chips. Go up to 75. And Jake makes the call. 175 in the center, and the reason why that's significant is because Tony only has 425 back, so this is actually a pretty significant pot here, and this could spell trouble. We'll see. But so Tony hits his 6, Jake hits the 8, so top pair to bottom pair. Jake with the best of it here. He'll act first, and he's going to check, and then Tony quickly checks back. We'll go to a turn, and another 6 rolls off. So Tony in a really good spot now.
Pretty big card there for Tony, and Tony just trying to pick up the pot before the flop. Every little pot matters a lot when you have the stack size that he does, so he just thought he should fight for it. Jake with big enough cards is going to continue even out of position with the king and the 8 heads up and getting a decent price. So that didn't work pre-flop, and they went check on the flop like you said, and now this big 6.
Yeah, so it's pretty well camouflaged for Tony. 55,000 is the bet, and it looks like he's going to raise it up. He is 190,000.
190.
And he makes a joke about the chicken wing, which could be a physical tell towards Jake. Don't know if Jake's going to pick up on that as strength or weakness. These chicken wings here.
Yeah.
Frank Stepachin is a regular on the World Poker Tour. No, he won. I'm not sure what. I think it was Legends of Poker. I think he won.
Called that final table where that chicken wing was very prominent.
Yeah. So he's out here handing out plastic versions of his chicken wing these days.
Very on brand. I like it.
And he's a big fan. I think he's out there right now.
He is. I saw him out there. Yeah. And Tony going to flip it up.
He goes
Trip
check.
6s. Yep.
Check on the river just because the 9 was.
He said the chicken wing worked. On that final table that we called, we couldn't figure out if it was a real chicken wing or if it was a fake chicken wing for the longest time. And then he started taking bites of it. So he actually had real chicken wings at the HyperXE Sports Arena. And he was waving back and forth, and then sure enough, took a couple nibbles off.
That's
the thing,
unreal. I saw him do that one time in a tournament where he had it on a fork, and it was a real chicken wing the time I saw it.
I feel like his opponents really had a hard time figuring out how to respond to it, as I think I would as well. You're like, what do you?
Yeah, it's such a goofy shtick.
7 dudes?
He just likes to have fun while he's out there while he's playing.
Yeah, why not, man, right?
I'm not sure anybody likes these World Poker Tour events more than he does.
I mean, he's sitting here sweating this one
Yeah, he loves
from
it.
the rail, right?
Yeah.
So Kevin in the cutoff here looking at ace-king. Going to raise it up to 55,000. Jake on the button here, ace-6 suited.
Both a 3-bet and a call are warranted here. He won't be folding. Looks like he's decided on a 3-bet. I'm going to gets back to Kevin and he puts Jake in. I think Jake's gonna wish he had just called and got to see this flop.
Yeah, so 275,000 in the center. Jake with 660 back, and Kevin already looking over at that chip stack.
There could be some merit to slow playing the ace-king here and just calling because a lot of the range that Jake is going to...
He'll go the other direction, all in, and Jake quickly folds.
And that's the standard play. I assumed he was probably going to put it in. But most of the 3-bets, even the 3-bet bluffs, do contain an ace or a king, so you can trap with it. The problem is you just don't flop anything very often when you do, so you really got to make tough decisions out of position going forward.
I don't think so. I don't think I did.
No, he didn't use one.
It went,
I went off.
yeah.
It never. It definitely did not go off.
You mucked it so fast.
No. When you
I don't think I. Yeah, no.
A little conversation here as to whether or not a time extension chip was used for the action clock by Protection Poker, and dealer thought that maybe the clock expired. Looks like the consensus amongst the players as well as a TD is saying no, that's not the case, so they give the time extension chip back to him.
Yeah, the time extension chips are a really interesting part of the game. The action clock comes into play one table away from the money, so to prevent stalling on the way into the money. And then for the rest of the tournament they're used. It's just a little more pressure on the players and
well, and
get
so much more
stalling out of the
enjoyable
game.
from a viewing perspective, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it really just helps move things along, and it levels the playing field too, you know, because no one's sitting here going, well, my strategy is going to be to sandbag and to frustrate the other players
Right.
at this table, and yeah, just from a viewing perspective, it's really gotten a positive response. So
And-
Robert going to get the walk here, and he's going to flip up his pocket jacks. Like, cool, guys.
he opened it under the gun. He won that pot.
Oh, he did? Okay, okay.
Yeah, there's another dynamic is there's just a lot of pressure when you get when you see that clock in front of you. There's a ding at 10 seconds and then this loud buzzer at 0, and the ding of the bell really alerts people that they need to make a decision.
And you know what's interesting is that the, you know, it kind of just seems like it fades into the background until it gets down to maybe a couple of players left, and those time extension chips start to fade a little bit, and then all of a sudden that pressure really starts to get turned up. And it's been interesting to call a couple of these final tables where the time extension chips have waned, and you see how that really affects the game.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it really affects the strategy. Eric on the button here, Jack 6 says no thanks. Shankar with 8-7 offsuit in the small blind. 670,000 behind. Gonna make the call. And Robert, ah yes, the old 7 deuce.
Robert checks his option. Both lines in for another 25,000.
Decides not to bluff with the 7 deuce. He's just going to
10-7.
see a flop.
Both players hitting the 7 on that flop. Shankar with the better of it right now, but may run out where the kickers don't matter. Shankar is going to bet just 25,000, so a min bet from him. Robert makes the call. Queen rolls off. So kickers are no longer in question. Most likely going to be a chop pot here if this gets seen through, but
Yeah, unless Robert decides to turn his hand into a bluff, which is possible. But your opponent's just going to hit that board so often too, so he's just going to try to show it down as cheaply as possible. Most likely going for the rest of his hand is just going to be check, check.
and there goes the big pot of 125,000 going to be split up between the two of them.
7 deuce like a boss. How'd you get in that pot with 7 deuce?
Robert trying to get the German fans to make some noise.
Not for 7 deuce, man. They have flown across the world with you, but not for that one. Play poker online with Club WPT for a chance to win a share of $100,000 in monthly cash and prizes, including VIP packages to live WPT main events. It's free to join Club WPT for new members. Use bonus code THUNDERSTREAM to sign up for Club WPT today and receive a free entry into the WPT Choctaw main event qualifier on Sunday, March 15th. No purchase necessary. Must be 21 plus. Void where prohibited. Taking a look at our scoreboard here, Kevin up top at $3.3 million, and Jake is the shortest of the stacks now, $660,000. So Kevin with over 33% of the chips in play.
So a couple guys getting down to that danger zone of 25-ish big blinds. They still have a little more than that, so they have some wiggle room. Nobody's just jamming it in yet.
Over to Tony. He's also one of the shorter stacks, ace-4 in the hijack, says pass. Eric, ace-6, also out of there, and Shankar with the same hand. Also ace-6 on the button is going to raise it on up to $55,000, and looks like another showdown between these two gentlemen. Robert with a queen-jack in his hand in the small blind.
This one plays well both as a 3-bet and as a call. I'm not sure which line he's going to take. The downside of the 3-bet is it puts Shankar at a test to just shove or fold.
Kevin behind. The big stack is going to get out of the way with his 9 deuce. 160 in the center.
Since Robert doesn't want to get blown off the hand, he wants to get to play his queen-jack. He's just going to call.
And the queen hits. So right out of the gate, good news for Robert, who will quickly check.
Shankar has showdown value with ace high. He could check that back, but he does have the backdoor flush draw and straight draws, so he could also decide to bluff with it.
And there goes both of those.
I think if he was a bit deeper, he might decide to go for a multi-street bluff with that hand, but since that would put a lot of pressure on his own stack, he's going to try to get the showdown cheaply. Maybe trap with ace high.
And that's 2 pair for Robert. Can't lose this hand, $45,000.
It's not an automatic fold from Shankar because ace high is still good a decent amount of the time, but with the stack sizes involved.
Yeah, Robert going to pick up a little more than 200,000 new chips. Well, 105,000 new chips, but total pot size over 200,000. He's been stacking some chips recently, man. Things are starting to go his way a bit.
Yeah.
Shankar having a hard time catching a break here. Just tuning in, thanks for being with us. My name's Dave Farrow alongside Tyler Patterson. We're at Thunder Valley in Sacramento, California, or at least just outside of Sacramento. And this has been a great event so far. Tyler, you had a nice run on this one. You finished 10th, and I'm glad you did because then we get to hang out and call this. I know you're
Thanks. Yeah, it was close. Tony actually busted me in 10th place. We had a shot. We weren't too deep on the last day. We started kind of deep, but we lost some pots pretty early, and so we were just kind of holding on as a short stack.
Do you hold a grudge? Do you like quietly root against Tony because he busted you?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. No.
Because I would. You are a better person than me.
It's if I did that, I'd have a grudge against every one of these guys at some point. You know what I mean?
So 6th place is going to earn $45,000. 5th is going to go with almost $62K, just a little south of that, and then $85,000 for 4th, $122 for 3rd, $177K for 2nd, and up top $279,000.
Which includes $15,000 for that WPT Tournament of Champions seat.
Always a great event that they host in Las Vegas. Also the honor of having the name engraved on the WPT Champions Cup here in season number 18. A lot of names on that cup, and some of the best names in poker are included in that, certainly.
Eric a couple times already, I think, and Tony Tran is already on that cup.
So Eric, who you're looking at right now there in the blue jacket, he has the ability to make history, and there's been a lot of close calls. No one's done it yet, but he has the ability here to realistically, potentially, win this tournament back-to-back in consecutive years, and that's never happened before on the WPT Tour. And you think about, being 18 seasons in and all the events that have happened around the world, that's pretty unbelievable that it's never happened, and it would be even more unbelievable to be the first to do it. So Eric, with that option today, if things go his way, 2.4 million behind, under the gun here, 8-7, he'll pass.
And not just back-to-back from this tournament, but also WPT Player of the Year last year, and then just carry that into the next year and make another final table right away with a good chance to win. It's pretty extreme. You can go a lot of these tournaments without without some success. A lot of these guys have seen it.
Nice to have a hot hand, huh?
Yeah.
Kevin going to raise with his 10-7 on the button. Tony in the big blind here, 725 back. There's 120 in the center right now. He's got Jack 8. I'll make the call. 150,000 in the middle. Here we go to a flop. A 10, a 9, and a 3 roll off. So Kevin, top pair, but open-ender for Tony. So this flop really hits both of them in different ways.
Could be fireworks here. If Kevin decides to c-bet, Tony has kind of an awkward stack size for it, but deciding if he's going to just call or if he's going to check raise and go with his hand.
If I call, can we check the turn?
Said I call, can we check the turn? Kevin does not respond.
Tony's been the speech play guy today.
Let's see if the chicken wing makes an appearance here. Tony with the telegraph check. Kevin still best with top pair.
So with that confident talking, he has balanced it well, because the first time he had 3 6s, and now he's doing it with just an open ender. So talking in the middle of the hand for Tony doesn't necessarily mean he has the nuts or doesn't have anything.
Check, check, and off rolls a queen. So Tony's strategy works.
Now does he try to catch a bluff and check raise all in, or does he just bet for value and hope to get called by a 9, 10, or queen? So he's reaching pretty deep.
Big bet, 2 1/4.
225,000 back.
Tony bets 225,000.
Tony's got less behind than are in the middle right now.
That's a pretty big bet to be a bluff when you only have that many chips.
Kevin giving this some real thought here.
Yeah, he made a tough laydown with those 9s earlier. And he
Makes
makes
the
a
call. And Tony, big pot going his way, now north of 1 million chips. So nice scoop for Tony.
Jack 8 or 8, queen high straight.
And just good overall play. I mean, figured out how to extract those chips, and it felt like that table talk did have something to do with it.
Yeah, it might have. So you hear just now, Kevin asked Tony if I bet the turn, were you going to shove?
That thing's not loud.
I don't think Tony had his mind made up for that.
It doesn't have any more.
Yeah, it doesn't beat.
Yeah, I believe you.
didn't
It
beep.
definitely took a while, but
It doesn't beat.
can it be louder?
Could you just tell us like last 10 seconds?
Did I throw you a time down?
Yeah. That'll be fine. Yeah.
So when the
No, she can just say 10 seconds.
action clock runs out, they do owe a time bank. They don't have to actually give it in the middle of the hand.
Because I know I took a while.
So
Yeah, you can
debating
still
on
go
how
through
many.
the old school, just sit there and tank and think about it, and the dealer's not going to bug you. But at the end, no matter how many time extensions you've used, that's what you owe. And if in the off chance we get down, further in this final table and they're out of time banks, it does kill your hand.
Yeah, as
if
soon
you're
as
out
the
of the time extensions,
exactly.
for sure. So Shankar here, ace-10 of clubs, going to raise it up under the gun over to Kevin, who just took a loss on that last hand in the cutoff, got a couple of fives. He's going to make the call, and it rolls back around to Shankar.
Win.
Three folds. It's on EY now. EY gets the call.
Oh, excuse me. Eric's still in it. I thought he pushed his cards into the center there. He's going to make the call with his 7-3 of hearts from the big blind. And boy, how about that? So Kevin, he's got 3 5s. That's a pretty good flop for him. There's a gut shot there for Eric.
And a backdoor flush.
And a backdoor
draw.
flush, yeah. So some possibilities there. He'll check.
Not likely Eric folds on the flop.
And Shankar, who starts his hand with ace-10, just total whiff on that one.
Yeah, another whiff. Kind of frustrating when you start to get short like Shankar is, too, to totally whiff like that in a 3-way pot.
$205 in the center, and the bet is just $60,000 from Kevin. Setting the table. Just come along for the ride.
Being in position on that board, he is going to bluff it some of the time, so I would expect Eric to at least continue and maybe even raise, but Eric just folds.
Yeah, so he's out of there. Kevin, with his set of 5s, not going to do it for him, though.
Maybe Eric picked up some kind of strength from Kevin there. I would think that gut shot and backdoor flush draw would at least warrant a call from there. He also does have to consider that Shankar might be check raising all in from the blind, so he might not get to see that card if he calls. So maybe that played a role.
Surprisingly expensive operation.
7 Days to Vegas was screened at the 22nd Annual California Independent Film Festival, where it won their Best Comedy Award. The film premiered to rave reviews from film critic Richard Roper and others, now available for purchase on iTunes and Amazon.
That stars Vince Van Patten, WPT Zone, and it's pretty funny. I don't know if you got a chance to see it yet, Dave.
It is.
But
it's good, yeah.
Yeah, it's
kind of
really
surprisingly. So yeah, you see a movie like that, and not surprisingly indicative of the people that were involved in it. But like you see some people that will they'll create a movie because they're in that space and they know that it's going to be widespread enough within their bubble. But this is actually just independently a very well done movie.
I agree. It's got like the whole caper heist feel to it, and it's really fun.
So 7 days to Vegas. Check that out. Should you get the opportunity. The poker fan, which I assume you are if you're watching this, I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it.
Vince and his brother are both really good in it.
An ace, a king, and a 9 roll off. Shankar with his queen high, the best of it. Does have 2 clubs in his hand, 1 on the board. Jake with the missing queen for Broadway fires out 40,000, and that'll be enough to take down the pot.
And queen high is good enough in that situation, with a backdoor flush draw, that if Shankar and Jake were both deeper, he might defend it there. He might call, but their stack sizes, it's just too much pressure on your stack at this point, so you have to give it up.
It's WPT Rolling Thunder main event final table. Final 6 players, $279,000 up top. Dave Farah and Tyler Patterson with you live here in Sacramento. Beautiful day in Sacramento. Average stack size, you see 67 big blinds. That's where it's been kind of hanging out. These guys very deep, and only a couple players have really been at risk so far, but we are starting to see the stack sizes separate. We'll see if that continues, but Kevin here, 3.1 million under the gun. He is going to let it go. Jake quickly out of there as well. Over to Tony in the cutoff, 8-6 of clubs.
So we're down to 6 here, but one of the unique things about this tournament is that at 36 players, we went down to 6-handed instead of, and actually starting on day 2, we went down to 8-handed. So you get to play a little shorter, which is nicer because you get to play with more hands, a little more leg room. think players really like the short-handed aspect of this tournament.
You mean literal leg room?
I do mean literal leg room, playing 6-hand around the table.
And Shankar going all in here for 507. Jack 10 of clubs, and Eric asking for a count, so he raised it up to 55. Shankar comes over the top, and Eric, king 9 of diamonds with a decision to make. 612,500 in the center.
It was a brave play by Shankar. It is a standard play, but it's just not that fun to be all in for your tournament life with Jack High. We give him credit for being brave enough to do it. Eric's thinking about calling here. King 9 suited will have enough equity against lots of the hands that Shankar shoves, but it's a decent percentage of a stack to have to put in.
Yeah, and he'll pass on that opportunity. So Shankar, maybe a little bit of frustration with just how card dead he's been, or like you said, maybe just assessing the situation, going, this is the right play to make. Comes over the top, jams, and it works.
Yeah, he's more of a logical player than just to be frustrated, I think.
Still the shortest of the stacks, 615,000, 25 big blinds. As you said, kind of that 25 big blind mark is where you start thinking about making moves like that.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned it being beautiful out here. We got the Whitney Oaks Golf Course as part of the Thunder Valley Casino, so if you guys come out here for anything we do out here, we can play golf out there.
Oh, that's nice. How far away is it?
It's real close, like 10 minutes, and they'll shuttle you back and forth. But coming up, we have the WPT Deep Stacks here in April. The week leading up to it, there's the Thunder Valley Thunder Buddies tournament with a bounty on a bunch
Thunder
of us.
Buddies.
Yeah, that's the official name of the tournament.
I love it,
It's
man.
the Thunder Buddies.
Little cheeky, but I dig it. So, and
Yeah.
again, just if you haven't been here before, it's my first time on property, and very impressed. The rooms are fantastic in the casino. They're spacious, very modern. I like how they have just USB ports everywhere and easy to access. The in-room dining is fantastic. The fitness facility here, the steakhouse, went there last night. That was tremendous. So. Yeah, lots of great stuff on site, and I had no idea about the golf course, so that's even better.
The golf course is great. It's really, really tough, really nice. Just to finish that Thunder Buddies thought, we have a golf outing, an official golf outing as part of that. So if you come out, you can play that tournament. You can come out with us. We're going to do a scramble tournament, and we'll figure all skill levels are invited. We can put you together with the right players.
How's your golf game?
I'm a 6-ish handicap.
Oh,
right
really?
Now, so
okay.
I don't play that much right now, where I haven't been, but yeah, it can get a little bit lower than that, a little bit higher most of the time.
Okay, that's pretty solid, man.
Yeah.
Now that you're in Vegas as well, there's plenty of great courses out that direction too. So
yeah, absolutely. The WPT Deep Stacks Championship is, their whole season of the WPT Deep Stacks. All the winners get to come play that, but it's $2,500 buy-in, and that's April, I think, 3rd to 7th, right after that Thunder Buddies bounty tournament. And we go out to Top Golf. That's another thing. Thunder Valley sponsors Top Golf. There's a Thunder Valley bar at Top Golf.
Nice.
So we can go out there and have some
fun.
fun.
Video of Mike Trout at Top Golf?
Unbelievable.
Just
yeah.
ripped it.
Yeah, it looks like Matt Savage hitting a golf ball.
That's right.
Mike Trout and Matt Savage hit it about the same distance, I think.
I was actually with Matt Savage one day at Top Golf. We were filming a piece, and yeah, he was out there ripping it, man. Hitting the back netting and dropping in each one of them. He's got a pretty good golf game.
Place is great. We were gambling on who could get the higher ball speed off the club. I mean, it has all the bells and whistles out there.
Right,
oh
yes,
yeah.
They find new ways for you to bet your friend. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So Eric here in the hijack, he's got ace-5 of spades, and he went up to 55,000. Over to Jake here, short stack at 615,000. He's got queen-5, and he'll make the call. So 150,000 in the center. Heads up to the flop, and we got a king, a 10, and an ace, all clubs. So what about that? So nut flush for Jake in the window.
With a royal draw, which doesn't matter for the strategy of this hand, but we've already seen a straight flush. We might as well see a royal flush.
Might as well see the royal, yeah. And Eric does hit his ace, so let's see what happens here. 35,000 is the bet.
See if Jake tries to call and keep Eric bluffing, or put more money in and hope Eric has something he can't fold. He's going to try to keep him bluffing, it looks like.
220,000 is the pot size right now, and a 5 rolls off, so
A lot of cards.
that's good for him. It improves Eric's hand and does give him a possibility of actually making the best hand if he fills up here. But, as you see, pretty unlikely. Jake at 93% going to go ahead and check over to Eric.
Eric is definitely considering betting for value, which I think would be normal. He's not going to love it when Jake shoves. Jake might just call and hopes that Eric keeps bluffing, but there's also some 2-pair and 3-of-a-kinds and straights and all sorts of things that Eric could not fold if he puts it in, so just raising all in might be the preferred line here. If he does, it is possible Eric could find a fold.
320 in the center, 550 behind. Jake going to use one of his time extension chips. Gives him another 30 seconds to think this one through.
It's always interesting when players use the time extension chips when it's not just facing a river bet, when it's just call or fold, when they actually have a range of options.
Jake's gonna call.
So Jake with the call there, because of course, but what does that tell Eric? And a 2 of hearts rolls off, and that is actually quite a good card for Jake, I would imagine, because if Eric has put Jake on chasing a flush, a couple of hearts roll off there at the end, and Eric's got a strong hand. He's got, 2 pair, including a pair of aces.
A very strong hand, and it is up against the big blind, which means there's other 2 pairs and single-paired hands that might have a tough time folding, so he might go for value, but it's kind of a scary coordinated board where he could check back just to out of caution.
Not the case. 175,000, almost 600,000 in the center right now. Jake with 450 back, and they're all going in here, right?
Oh yeah, they're all going in, but it is possible that Eric finds a fold. It's not an easy fold, but there's nothing worse than ace-5 that Jake would check raise all in for value. He might do it as a bluff with a hand like queen-10 that has the queen of clubs, or king-jack, or jack-10 with the jack of clubs or queen of clubs, with just one club. So there are some bluffs that Jake would do this with, but for his whole tournament life, probably not that likely. But there's almost nothing that is worse than Eric's hand that Jake would be doing it for value with. Like, he's not going to do this with ace-deuce or king-10 or king-deuce. I think he would just check call those hands. So really, even though he has 2 pair, he really just has a bluff catcher at this point.
And Eric reaching for chips.
Looks like it's 275 to call.
Over
And
$1 million in the center.
right, so a little more than 3 to 1 he's getting. So he only has to be
And
right.
finds the fold.
Great fold.
And Jake with almost a double up there, so going all the way up to 1,000,000 chips, was at about 600,000, and then comes up no longer in 6th place, now up in 5th. 42 big blinds, a little bit of breathing room for Jake Schwartz.
Yeah, big pot for Jake there. That's a big swing.